is going to be the toughest fight of his career.
Sharp, relax.
The most embarrassing fight of his career.
Chair across your face.
Yeah, I think he's about to cry.
The boxing world is on fire right now, and Anthony Joshua is standing right in the middle of the chaos as legends, analysts, and former champions come after him for agreeing to what many insist is the easiest and most pointless matchup of his entire career. The second the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight was confirmed, the entire community split apart. One side accusing Joshua of disgracing the sport, the other defending him with full passion.
Who did Terrence Crawford fight his 11th fight?
I don't know.
Who did Arthur Beterbiev fight? Jake Paul has found a way to make himself the cash cow early in his career to where we shouldn't care.
Jake Paul has become the fighter right now that everybody wants to fight because right now he is the cash cow. He made $40 million just off of Netflix.
He has found a way to do something with his following, get under people's skin to make people care about these fights.
What advice would you give to somebody like AJ?
That he has a lot of talent and not to get discouraged. He only loses when he quits. When you quit, all the doors of opportunities close. You know what I mean? You have to be game. And then don't get discouraged if you lose. Listen, you just lost. You may have got $30 million. You should give Usyk a kiss and say, can we do this again? Don't let this internalize you. Oh, I can't fight now. This white boy kicked my ass. People are laughing at me. No, he kicked my ass for $50 million or $30 million. I hope he kicks my ass again. But this time it might not work out that way. I'm gonna kick his ass. I just think the more time you lay off, the worse you get. You have to fight to be the best. You have to do it more and more and more.
What do you say to the people who say Anthony is ruining his legacy just by taking this fight?
Fans don't respect what he's done in the sport already. He's an Olympic gold medalist, two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world.
I sort of sympathize with him because I feel like if he doesn't beat him quicker than he beat Francis, people are just going to write it off. I'll ask you bluntly, have there been any discussions about there's an agreement, there's a secret contract? Have any of those discussions happened regarding this fight?
It's an 8-round professional fight. AJ wouldn't have taken it if that was the stance it had to be, if it was an exhibition, if it was you've got to hold him up for 8 rounds. It wouldn't suit Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going in there to knock out Jake Paul.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on, like you can't be serious. He can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous.
The loudest critics are the boxing purists, analysts, and even legends like Floyd Mayweather, who argue that Joshua should never have accepted this kind of fight. They believe a 2-time heavyweight champion has no business stepping into the ring with a YouTuber whose experience, legacy, and credibility fall nowhere near the level required for such a massive showdown. According to them, Joshua should be targeting real threats like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang, or Joe Joyce. Fighters who truly belong in this conversation, fighters who spent decades crafting themselves for moments of this scale. The idea of AJ choosing Jake Paul instead has been labeled embarrassing, damaging to his legacy, and humiliating for the heavyweight division. But the opposing side of the debate is far more complicated than people want to accept. At this point in his career, Anthony Joshua must balance business with legacy. Boxing is a brutal, short-lived sport, and AJ has already shared the ring with some of the greatest heavyweights of this era. People forget he went to war with Andy Ruiz twice.
The glaze in that question, and you know, that seems like a very friendly question to Jake, but you know what? It's a fair question. I'm not mad at the guy for phrasing his question that way. And again, yes, that's because Jake has a massive name and a massive spotlight. Without that, Jake is not fighting Anthony Joshua in his 14th fight. But on the other side of that, the risk involved with fighting Anthony Joshua here, and some of the fights that Jake had in his first 10 or 11 fights, most pros were either having or having worse opponents for. So when people discredit Jake's career by being like, he didn't fight this guy, he didn't fight that guy, he didn't fight a number of this contender, number that, look at your favorite fighter in their first 14 fights and you pick out the opponents that they had and the level of them. Sure, you'll have your outliers, your Vasily Lomachenkos and other guys that fought tough competition right away, but most, and I mean most meaning 95% of the sport of boxing, had tomato cans until he had 15 to 20 wins. Give Jake his credit. He's fought guys that even were better on his resume than some of your favorite fighters, and now he's fighting Joshua this early. That deserves the credit that I know and the acknowledgement that I know Jake is
lose for Anthony Joshua. However, given all of that, both men are going to make $92 million each. So forget my opinion. Who gives a damn when you can bank $92 million for having a little move around in a boxing ring? Fair play. You can't on that. However, let's talk about it. The reason I say that it's a lose-lose we'll start with Jake Paul first. The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. By the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself. Everyone says the same thing.
He faced Alexander Usyk twice, battled a still dangerous Vladimir Klitschko, and survived fights that would have ended half the division's careers. So when a once-in-a-generation payday shows up, when a crossover mega event lands on his table, when Netflix wants to turn a boxing match into the biggest global spectacle since Mayweather versus McGregor, how can anyone honestly blame Anthony Joshua for signing on? Joshua's supporters are firing back at critics, arguing that the same people calling this matchup embarrassing would accept it without hesitation if they were offered that kind of money.
He beat Wallin, and he beat him convincingly.
Yes.
And that's all he can do. And I think that he should take the praise from that and build from it, but he shouldn't want the criticism to stop because I think it fuels him.
I'm one with you, and I said that to Joshua in one of the interviews that I'd done with him. I said to him, listen, I knew he was very angry with TalkSport and the criticism he was getting from TalkSport, etc. And I had that conversation with him and said, listen, Josh, you should be feeding off that. That's what good fighters do. You feed off that. Go and prove them wrong. That's where your fuel should be coming from. And I think to a certain extent he's sort of done that. I said, look, if people are talking about you, it's a good thing because that means that you're doing something right.
He wasn't ready for Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua was a different thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just he's got more one-shot knockout power.
Bad game
he took it more seriously too.
I know he likes to switch in, but again, this is where the boxing is. If you don't have that kind of intellect in the boxing, that footwork and foot positioning is. Put your foot on one side, you're gonna get killed. You put your foot on the other side, you're safe. You can kind of manage the power and see the punches coming. But he kept switching stances by just leaving himself in just the wrong positions.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready. There was a lot of hype off the Fury fight.
Also, Joshua got to watch him box in the Fury fight, see some patterns. Fury, I think, probably took him lightly.
Yes, I think so.
He's one of the greatest of all time. This guy's never had a boxing match. At the beginning of the fight, he's like, time to go to school. Like, oh, really?
They insist AJ has earned the right to make his own choices. He has earned the right to secure generational wealth for his family. And anyone who disagrees is either jealous or refusing to face reality. Supporters emphasize that this fight will draw more attention to boxing than any other heavyweight match this year. And if Joshua performs exactly as expected, he'll walk away with the biggest paycheck of his career and a knockout that will echo worldwide. The debate has moved far beyond boxing skill. Now it's about pride, legacy, money, respect, and survival. It's about whether Anthony Joshua is avoiding tougher challenges or simply securing his future. It's about whether Jake Paul is delusional, a genius, or somehow both. And it's about whether this fight is a complete spectacle or a sign of what modern combat sports have become. One thing is undeniable. The boxing world is completely divided. Some legends are furious with Joshua, calling the fight shameful and pointless, while others insist he's a smart businessman who understands today's game better than anyone. And with the fight set for December and both men already deep in training, the noise surrounding this matchup is only growing louder.